53. Talked about the Panthers' struggles offensively, 26% shooting in the loss to the Bulldogs.
Yeah, they'll need to shoot the ball better today if they want to have a chance against New Mexico State. They thrive in being able to get defensive stops.
Aggies with the ball first. Here's Jones in traffic off the glass, banks it in. And 13 seconds in, the Aggies stake the early lead.
Well, not only did they take the lead, but got the easy shot with very little resistance in the paint. So if it's going to be that easy this afternoon, it's going to be a long night for Georgia State.
Dish inside to Beam. His shot challenged by Mims. Put back, spins off, and Mims corrals the rebound.
Yeah, that's an example of those plays. You have to finish those type of plays. Point blank, in the paint, no shot blocker near. Need to make those.
Yasir Malunga will locate Gabe Pickens, who hit some big shots late in the game, and an offensive foul. Malunga called for the illegal screen.
And we saw that call with much regularity yesterday, all day long in every game. So something that the referees and officials are emphasizing is being set on the screens and not moving.
Turnover, New Mexico State, and there were a lot of those in the game last night against UC Irvine. Those two teams combined for 39 turnovers in the nightcap of yesterday's triple-header. Bertha with a three for the Panthers, and it rattles in. Shot that right over Jamel Jones. Ayuba Bertha with the first bucket of the day for Georgia State.
Yeah, they need some three-point shooting. I think that's a big part of them finishing plays. They will need to be able to make some shots with the way that New Mexico State loves to defend the paint.
The Panthers were 7 of 33 from deep yesterday against Samford. Here's Jamel Jones, shot clock under 10. Trying to work off the screen from Mims. Now one-on-one against Bertha. Feed inside of Mims, and it just comes off the iron. Got his own miss, and this will stay with the Aggies.
And it's kind of, again, one of those plays. You do the defensive stop. Have to limit the second chances from New Mexico State. They thrive, again, on those offensive rebounds and really attacking the O-glass.
That was a look at Aggies head coach Jason Hooten in his second year in Las Cruces. With a win last night, up to 296 now in his career.
Yeah, I believe first time 5-0 for New Mexico State since 1991. Big achievement.
A missed three from Pickens, and Beam has the rebound for Georgia State. And here's Micah Tucker. Well, how about the game Tucker put up yesterday against Samford in a losing effort? Micah Tucker's proved to be one of the great young freshmen in this tournament.
Yeah, career high already, 21 points, and played sensational, was efficient, got to the foul line, was physical like that, draws a lot of fouls because he's such a physical guard with his attacking play.
Tucker off the offensive rebound. Bertha, contested shot in the mid-range. And the rebound taken away by Sear Malunga.
Again, just kind of some missed opportunities. Georgia State getting the shot quality. Just need more of those to go in as you're playing against a really tough defensive team.
Mims another miss inside. Aggies 1 of 5 from the floor to start today. They had a hard time putting the ball in the basket last night, but defensively played well enough to beat UC Irvine. And there is Jonas Hayes, fourth-year head coach for Georgia State. And it has been a tough start for his Panthers this year, 1-6 in their first 7 games.
Yeah, not the start that you ever want. But, again, getting one of these wins against, again, probably not the strongest team so far. They're 2-0 in this event. One campus game in the game last night. This will be a huge win, and 2 threes for Georgia State as Tucker follows with the second field goal of the game.
Micah Tucker drilling a three. Panthers have hit a couple of threes to start today. Again, Tucker, freshman out of Atlanta, 21 yesterday against the Bulldogs. 6-2 Georgia State.
Yeah, great start for Georgia State. I think it's important for their confidence to be able to get off to that kind of good start.
Jamel Jones, a turnaround, doesn't go. And Mims battling for the rebound, able to collect it, recess in the corner. Three-pointer short. Another offensive rebound, this time Mullen for the Panthers, or for the Aggies. It will stay with New Mexico State.
And here you see why the key to the game for Georgia State was to keep them from second-chance points. Now, they haven't scored a lot of second-chance points, but they are getting second, third opportunities each possession. this does not have a recipe for success. Even though Thanksgiving is tomorrow, and we like the recipes that are coming, that's not a recipe for success for the Panthers.
Pickens works it out to Jones. And Pickens fires away. Another offensive rebound for the Aggies. Jones a turnaround. Another misfire, and Brown the rebound for the Panthers. Here's Malachi Brown. Going to take it back out. Gets it back for Chappelle. Drives, dishes, corner three, Bertha. Second one today. 3 threes for Georgia State. And Jason Hooten wants to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just such a long time ago. But again, it just says what a great job Coach Hooten's done to restore New Mexico State to some of its glory. Now, there's more glory that they want to get to. This is not the ending point by any means, but all those little milestones of significance, they matter as you're building something back that once was, and he is excited about being the head coach at New Mexico State. He's not excited about the Aggies' 1 of 9 start, looking for more ball movement. You could hear him in that timeout. Get the ball moving, and Georgia State, give them credit. I said this last night. They responded all game long, even though they weren't scoring, shooting just 26% from the floor. And here you see them bouncing back the next day. You got to give Coach Hayes and the staff credit for keeping his team locked in.
Turnover for the Aggies. Here's Michael Tucker down for Georgia State. That's one of the 3 threes for the Panthers. Bertha, he checks shot. Doesn't go. Battle for the rebound, won by Beam. And Beam with authority puts it back in for Georgia State.
Now that was a big toughness play to be able to dunk in traffic. Thought yesterday there was a couple of plays he could have had like that just didn't go down, and he couldn't get his confidence. Big play there on the putback dunk.
11-0 run Georgia State. Here's Mullen for the Aggies, and the shot off the glass over Beam ends that run and cuts the lead to 7. They notice Beam had a hard time defensively in the post yesterday against Sanford. We'll see if the Aggies try to take advantage of that today. And here's Malachi Brown, rises up, short. The Panthers firing a lot of threes to start this game.
Yeah, not a bad strategy. They've obviously shot it really well, 3 of 5 to start. Started out 3 of 3. Defensively, they've been pretty good, minus the last 2 layups that have been given. But New Mexico State starting to get in that offensive flow, getting the shots they want. And both teams adjusting from yesterday and the start of this game.
You get the sense for the Aggies, their bread and butter today will be scoring in the paint. The Panthers gave up 32 points to paint against Sanford as Tucker wheels out a 3. Maybe the Panthers cooling off here a little bit. As Pickens doesn't fire. Instead, into the corner. That 3 is good. And that's Jalen Randall. And here comes New Mexico State.
Yeah, struggled from the three-point line yesterday. Just struggled to score, period. But that flow that they've had the last 7 points, they've made it look easy.
Between the Anteaters and the Aggies, those 2 teams from deep last night combined 4 of 32. The shots simply were not falling. Chappelle, that 3 right down the chute. Answer triple good for Joe Chappelle.
Yeah, the volume of threes that Georgia State is shooting right now has been, I don't know if it's a part of the game plan or they're just feeling it, but of their 12 shots, 7 of them are 3, and they're made 4.
Offense last night felt like squeezing blood from a rock, but so far, both teams shooting well to start this game. There's a miss, and Chappelle, the rebound for Georgia State.
I didn't know the Rocks had blood in them, but I learned something new today.
Well, that's how hard offense was last night.
Let's go. You feel the energy in the gym. The second day of the Cancun Challenge.
Bertha airmails a 3. Beam trying to save it in, but does right to Mullen. Aggies want to push. In the corner, Jones traps, now drives, had it stripped by Tucker. It'll stay with New Mexico State. And some mass subs here for Jason Hooten. 4 new players on for the Aggies. New Mexico State out to this 5-0 start. Team picked to finish 3rd in a very good Conference USA. 3 teams in CUSA ranked in College Insider's mid-major top 25, including the Aggies. along with Liberty and Kennesaw State. Malunga inside, defended by Chappelle, and a foul against Georgia State.
Yeah, I love the fact that he attacked the rim as strong as he did. They've done a nice job on pick and rolls here from the timeout of finding a roll man to the rim. The free throw conversion from Malunga is not something that he's particularly strong at, but we'll see how this trip goes.
35% for the season coming into the tournament, and Malunga off on the first. I think Jason Newton is telling Malunga to get some arc on that shot. Sierra Malunga, first-year transfer out of East Carolina, one of 11 transfers brought into Las Cruces over the offseason. Drills the second. It's a 4-point game. 14-10, Georgia State. And now some pressure here for the Aggies. And here's Chris Jones, who didn't play yesterday. Missed three, rebounded by Jacoby Osborne.
Yeah, and despite the pressure, got as good of a look as you can get.
Terrell, contested shot, offensive rebound, Osborne, and foul from behind by James Cooper.
And this is what New Mexico State does. They fresh bodies, right? You go to the second wave from your bench, and the same product still out there as far as attacking the glass as if your life depends on it. So, yeah, we said it in the open. This is going to be a huge key for Georgia State, is keeping New Mexico State from getting second chance points. And they are not shooting the ball well, just 30% in this game, but they are going crazy on the offensive glass with 5 offensive rebounds already.
A long trip for all 6 teams here to Cancun. The Aggies have had the shortest, but still pretty far, traveling more than 2,300 miles from the Pan American Center in Las Cruces here to the Hard Rock Riviera Maya. 3-point game. Panthers on top. They've hit 4 threes so far this afternoon.
They lost the shoe, it looks like.
Yeah, somebody's down a spare tire here. Shot clock to 10. Tough shot. Tucker banks it in.
I was curious how that works. Does he just play defense with the shoe? I like this strategy. I don't know if the officials see it or don't see it, but you see a little bit of everything here in Cancun.
So you have Malachi Brown playing with only 1 shoe and Micah Tucker playing with 3. That 3 good, and officials will stop play so Brock can get his shoe back on. Elijah Elliott, the 3 for New Mexico State, and it is a 2. A lot of great mid-major basketball this week, the week of Thanksgiving. We hope everybody enjoys their holiday tomorrow. And my man here, Brian, is staying on the island for Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Yeah, get to hang out a little bit more before going back to the mainland.
And Scott with the missed 3. Rebound chased down by Georgia State. But if there were ever alternative plans outside of the traditional meal back at home with all the family, Cancun is not a bad secondary option.
Yeah, what a blessing to be able to say, hey, we're going to just do Thanksgiving in Cancun this year.
Pass the turkey by the ocean side. That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, a little warmer weather than back home in Colorado for me.
It's in the mid-80s here in Cancun. Beautiful weather. And a lot of the schools here play in colder climates. Sure, their players and the fans that have traveled have enjoyed their time so far this week in Cancun. 11 minutes to go here in the first half as we see Christian Beam check back in for Georgia State. Sophomore out of Woodland, Alabama. It remains a 2-point lead for the Panthers, shooting 38%, Aggies at 33. Here's Terrell on the take. And Terrell got by Chris Jones and ties the game.
Yeah, coach with a designed ball screen for him to get to his left, meaning Terrell finishes with a nice drive at the rim.
Coming up at the halfway point, of the first half. Here's Tucker into the corner. Jones lets it fly. Spins out, and Malunga with the rebound for New Mexico State.
Yeah, and Georgia State's doing a good job of countering. They haven't turned the ball over yet. They're still getting high shot quality every possession so far.
Terrell catch and shoot three, rattles home, and the Aggies take the lead, and that'll lead to a timeout for Jonas Hayes.
Yeah, a little run of the. Yeah, and they had a special team last year, 32 wins, and made it all the way to right at just a fingernail away from being NIT champs. Russell Turner done an outstanding job there, to say the least. Probably an understatement. But has a younger team this year looking to reload, and here we have a great game. Speaking of young players, Tucker's been really good, and the takeaway by New Mexico State.
Second turnover for the Panthers. And here's Terrell trying to navigate through traffic. Locates Elliott. Unable to hit the triple. And then a battle for the rebound between Bertha and Randall. And on the tie-up, the possession will go back to Georgia State.
I mean, that's the type of competing on the glass you have to do. You have to not only what they call compete on the ground with the physical blockout, but you have to jump and compete in the air as well and have some of those balls where maybe it gets tied up and it's 50-50. New Mexico State, again, they practice that. They thrive on that. That's a part of their culture, part of them kind of just waking up. That's what they do. So if you're not ready to do that for full 40 minutes, it's going to be a long afternoon.
And Scott steps on the end line, and the Panthers give it right back on an unforced error.
If I'm not mistaken, he's saying too you couldn't run the baseline.
So it is another turnover for the Panthers. Aggies trying to take advantage, and again trying to stay unbeaten on the year as Malunga takes the inbounds pass. Three-pointer, Terrell, got it. And now the Aggies heating up for the outside.
Yeah, beautiful design play to get Terrell another three-point shot. And the lefty's got not only 2 threes, but that pretty drive to the rim. Been a great spark off the bench.
Already more threes for the Aggies today than they had the entire game last night against UC Irvine. Under 10 to go, 5-point lead to Mexico State. Scott answered three. That one splashes home and cuts the lead down to 2.
Now that looked much more like his dad than the shots we saw yesterday. Coach was urging him to let it fly yesterday, Coach Hayes, and that time Scott with no hesitation, nothing but the bottom.
His dad did it. Scott played college basketball in Atlanta at Georgia Tech, and later a great NBA career, notably with the Orlando. Shot there, doesn't drop. Beam has the rebound for the Panthers. Turnover, it's taken away by Terrell. 2-on-1. Terrell's alley-oop pass deflected, but Malunga gathers and finishes.
A great hustle by New Mexico State, and it's not exactly an offensive rebound, but it felt like it. A deflected alley-oop lob, and because of the way they sprint the floor, Malunga was able to pick it up and throw it down.
23-19, Aggies, Malachi Brown from the corner. And a foul going the other way against Christian Beam.
That was on 32. That's his first 14.
A slew of subs coming back in for New Mexico State. You know, Georgia State got off to a hot start today, Brian, but they've cooled off a little bit since then. How do they reestablish the rhythm?
It's easier said than done, I'll say that. New Mexico State does not make it easy, and everything has been contested for the most part, but they haven't gotten those second chance opportunities either, so you're going to get one shot, hoping that it's clean. Georgia State overall has done a pretty good job. I think it's more of the defensive end, keeping New Mexico State off of the glass and making things harder than it is just their offense. Their offense is, they've played well enough to continue to play well in this game. Again, just got to finish plays. That's always going to be the theme in a game against New Mexico State, because they're not going to give you a ton of opportunities. So the ones you get, you have to take advantage of.
Chappelle rises up against Mims. Shot's good for the mid-range. It's a 2-point game.
Good back and forth game both ways, and good to see some other players for Georgia State contributing in the scoring column. Tucker hasn't had to do near as much as he did yesterday, where he carried the load.
Off the pump fake, Elliott, step back jumper. Doesn't get the roll, rebounded by Joe Chappelle. And here's Tucker, the freshman, go to work, shovels it off to Chappelle, steps into a three, and down it goes.
One of those days. You talk about that's what you love about these tournaments, is that you don't ever know who's going to step up in any given day in the matchups. And sometimes you get a win, you can feel good. Sometimes you get a lose. You lose or you become a lot hungrier. And give Georgia State and Coach Hayes a lot of credit for how they've stepped up against one of the best defensive teams here in Cancun.
Elliott and a lot of traffic putting up that shot, then a foul on the rebound. 4 Panthers in the end. Georgia State out of the Sun Belt Conference, leading 24-23. The Aggies out of Conference USA. 6 teams representing 6 different mid-major conferences here this week. That pass stopped away by Rizesh. Stays with the Panthers. Sanford out of the SoCon, Utah Valley out of the WAC. South Dakota State out of the Summit, and UC Irvine from the Big West. And Bron and I were having a conversation earlier today before the start of the game and how much headway mid-majors have made in college basketball over the last 20 years. Scott, a 3. This one is short. Rebounded by Chappelle.
Yeah, it seems like it's an intentional attack of of Georgia State to be able to get threes. Maybe they saw something on film or feel like that's an area that they're turning down too many threes, maybe the previous game, but they've shot outstanding, 50% until that last 3 missed from 3. 6 threes made already early on in this game.
And even 6 minutes to go. 1 point lead, Georgia State recessed off the screen. Unable to hit, rebounded by Malachi Brown. Panthers with a push. And here's Chappelle, got cut off by Mims. Try to cross him over. It'll stay with Georgia State. So again, a conversation felt like forever. The Final Four was blue bloods and power conference teams playing for a national championship, but then George Mason kind of cracks the foundation some about 20 years ago, reaching the Final Four, and since then we've seen several mid-majors make it to the Final Four. Programs like Butler, San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, just to name a few.
Yeah, and it's changing just a little bit. It'll be interesting to see with this new NIL era. What made mid-majors good before is you could have upperclassmen that had been developed continuity together. That's a hard part about college basketball now, because the mid-majors, whether we like it or not, is a feeding ground for young men to be able to move up to the higher levels, because there is now a financial element that allows them to be incentivized to do that. So I think that is the hard part about mid-majors. Now it feels like it'll be a lot harder because of the financial investment that goes into revenue share and NIL for a mid-major to make it to the Final Four. But that's the beauty of the tournament and the beauty of college basketball, is you just never really know what to expect, and you get the right group together because there's enough talent you can acquire even if you are mid-major. You see players coming from all over and everywhere at every level now. So you're not as much afraid, because you may have a roster full of guys who came from the high major level that just didn't play a big role, or guys that came from a lower level that are proving themselves.
Foul here against New Mexico State after the made 3 by Gabe Pickens. And something you hear from mid-major coaches all the time now is that in the era of the transfer portal, your players are auditioning essentially for bigger schools, and so by the end of the season, you're having to re-recruit them to try to convince them to stay. And there's so much roster turnover for mid-majors now from one year to the next.
Yeah, and I think it's really happening at all levels. I think if you go to the highest level, they're losing players too, because everyone wants more opportunity, because there is, again, the financial part of it. And quite frankly, mid-major coaches are in a similar position too. If you do well, you're going to have a chance to move on. Those schools you just mentioned, those coaches have had chances to move on. FAU's head coach, Dusty May, is now the head coach at Michigan. You know, Coach Hooten was at Sam Houston State. Now he's here. Coach Acuff was at Lipscomb. Now he's at the next place. It's just a part of the transition, is part of it now, with not just coaches but also with players.
And Scott didn't get off in time. Shot clock violation for the Panthers is their 5th turnover of the half. And the program we referenced earlier, George Mason kind of being that first mid-major to reach the Final Four, Jim Larinaga went from the coach of the Patriots to take over at Miami.
And you mentioned Butler as well, was Brad Stevens well documented, went from there to the Celtics.
Pickens, in and out, and rebounded by Brown. And in a way, Butler's become the Midwest version of Gonzaga. The Bulldogs were a great mid-major for a long time, and now they've since become one of college basketball's blue bloods. So if you're a mid-major and you establish enough consistent success on a national level, all of a sudden you could turn into a powerhouse program.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Gonzaga is going to be a part of the new Pac-12 starting next year. And the success that Mark Few has been able to have is definitely pretty unprecedented. If you look at what Houston had done at Kelvin Sampson when they were in the American, now they're in the Big 12 and one of the top teams in the country every year.
Chappelle drives inside, got challenged by Pickens. Here comes New Mexico State. Kelvin Sampson's Cougars did lose yesterday against Tennessee. Mullen for the top, unable to connect on a three, rebounded by Scott.
Yeah, but was a Final Four team from the American Conference when they had Quentin Grimes, who plays for Philadelphia 76ers now, and went to the Final Four again last year.
Randall three-pointer. That one off the back of the iron, spins in. That is the fourth three of the half for the Aggies.
Well, you are starting to see some of those plays that GSU just has to, again, finish. They've done a pretty good job middle way of the first half, but got to finish plays consistently against New Mexico State, because this is where the game can get away from you, as they have made a three and now they're pushing in transition and again, dodge the bullet. Have to capitalize on some of these opportunities, though.
Malachi Brown, wide open three, an air ball, but Chappelle there to clean it up. That ends a 4-minute scoring drought for Georgia State. Panthers draw it within two.
Yeah, Chappelle's been awesome. He woke up and had his Wheaties this morning, as they used to say. Maybe he had some Thanksgiving food in advance, but he has been good outside, inside, on the glass. They will need more production from him.
Under 3 minutes to go, 2-point Aggie lead. Jones contested shots. And Brown the rebound for Georgia State, goes behind his back. Malachi Brown on the take, shovels it off to Chappelle, out of bounds. Stays with the Panthers. 2:33 to go. And a Marco Doyle from Australia. Janelle Jones trying to fight through Malachi Brown. And there will be a whistle and a foul against Georgia State.
Yeah, very few miscues as far as turnovers for Georgia State in this game. They've done a terrific job taking care of the rock. That was one of those plays out of a timeout that I'm sure they wish they could have back to execute a little bit better.
Mentioned all the international players, not just these two rosters, but the other four that we've seen here this weekend in Cancun. And Brian, of course, you have a background in recruiting and coaching as well. And recruiting international players has become a big part of modern-day college basketball now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a global game, not only at the college level, obviously at the pro level. And we talked a lot about what's going on with the transfer portal. You also have junior college, and then you have a big influx of international players, whether they're by way of junior college or directly from international waters themselves. So the game is becoming more and more global, and it's becoming less challenging. You know, you have the internet, you have different connections, you have different things that bring international players with opportunities to come to the state. So less and less kind of a foreign concept, if you will, becoming more familiar.
Minute 44 to go. 4-point lead for the Aggies, on top 30-26. Looking to move to 6-0 on the year. Jones a crossover against Bertha, looking to post up Malunga. And a foul, another one against Georgia State. That is team foul number 7. And the 1-1 coming up for the Aggies.
Yeah, it feels more strange if you have a roster that doesn't have someone international on it than if you do. Whereas at one point in time, it maybe felt a little bit strange. There were certain programs that had international players, but it wasn't kind of a widespread commonality.
Malunga earns one more free throw. 5-point lead now for New Mexico State.
Georgia State yet to shoot a free throw in this game. We haven't had a lot of fouls. It's just the fourth, fifth attempts here. Nice job connecting on both. And New Mexico State looking to get a run, separation before they go into the half with a little more comfortable of a cushion. Georgia State wants to respond to that.
Tucker the floater. And a rebound by Malunga. Aggies on top by 6, largest lead of the day. Jones fakes a 3 on the take instead, off the pump fake. And blocked out of bounds by Christian Beam. It'll stay with the Aggies. +340 Division I teams in the country, and 300 of them have suffered a loss. The Aggies one of just 43 without one. It's knocked out of bounds by Micah Tucker, and now the Aggies inbounding full court. And it's not as if the Aggies have been playing soft competition either. They won a couple of games, the Cancun Challenge, against very good mid-major teams. Had their rivals New Mexico and Las Cruces not long ago with 8,000 in attendance. Corner 3, good for Randall. 9-point lead for the Aggies.
Yeah, he earned himself a technical foul after he made the 3. Turned around to the Georgia State bench, gave them a word or two, and the officials did not approve of the words he had to say or just a gesture to do it. Caught him right away, maroon-handed.
Well done, Ryan. Playing the Aggies' colors there. It's not red-handed for them, it's maroon.
No, you can't say red.
But not if you're New Mexico State, because that certain team off I-10.
There you go. See, you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Now I'm getting the vibe.
Yeah, they did have that 76-68 win against New Mexico early in the season.
Well, that is a game that so many people in New Mexico are passionate about, both fan bases. Every time the two teams play each other, no matter where it is, Albuquerque or Las Cruces, fans will turn out. And again, more than 8,000 there for that game this season.
Yeah, it's a big-time, storied rivalry, especially in that part of the country. You're either on one side, it's not quite Alabama, Auburn, but one of those things that if you're in New Mexico, it is a big deal.
Under a minute to go in the half, 7-point Aggie lead. A quiet half so far for Tucker. Gives it up to Chappelle. Mid-range shot. Rebounded by Mims. Now Terrell looking to feed. Malunga, the big man inside. Works it back out to Randall. Or to Elliott, beg your pardon. There's Terrell. Shot clock under 10. And taken away by Bean. Brown to Chappelle. Had it taken away. What a great defensive play by Elliott. Up ahead to Jones, and Jones draws a foul with 5.8 seconds to go in the half.
Yeah, and those kind of go back to, again, same thing, finishing plays. Chappelle has 10 points in this game. He's played outstanding so far, but that's another one of those plays in transition. You need those points. You want to go down 5 instead of now what could be down 7. It makes a huge difference in a game where a team like New Mexico State defends as strong as they do. All those little opportunities, they just continue to add up. And meanwhile, Jones, chance to get to the line and for a score. They always love to see the ball go in, and the free throw line is one of the best places to do it.
Aggies 5 of 7 from the line. And Jones, one of the better foul shooters in Conference USA, at more than 80%. Got them both. Inbound to Brown. And Bertha, good look at a 3. It's an air ball. Tucker's putback doesn't go. And the Aggies will take a 9-point lead into halftime.
Yeah, again, another one of those wide open threes. You have to value those possessions at a much higher clip for the full duration of the half. So let's see how Georgia State responds and if New Mexico State continues to do what they typically do.
The 9-point lead for the Aggies, the largest they've had in the game. Malachi Brown fell down, got back up. Shot clocked at its head here. Scott will shove it off to Chappelle, rises up against Mims. Offensive rebound, tap back out to the Panthers that are fresh possession. Tucker a three. And rebounded by Mims. The Panthers were hot from three to start the game, but have since cooled off. Now 5 of 21 from deep. Alley-oop and Mims on the finish for New Mexico State.
Best athlete he's ever coached is what Jason Hooten said about that young man, and you can see some of his athleticism on display there. New Mexico State, largest lead of the game you just mentioned, have expanded that lead, and there's 18 and some change left. Georgia State's sense of urgency has to go up because New Mexico State is not letting their feet off the gas.
Malachi Brown shovels it out to Bertha. Now a Scott contested jumper over Malunga. Rebounded by Jones. Aggies are clamping down defensively, as we saw last night in the win over UC Irvine. A missed three from Jamel Jones, and the Panthers will get it back.
Jones was the Butterball player of the game yesterday with his 12 points, leading scorer for the Aggies. And here's the alley-oop. Wide open, great execution. You love to be able to start and draw up that play and say, hey, this is the first play we're going to run to start the half. Like to be able to start it like that.
A foul here against the Aggies. With about 2 minutes gone by in the second half, New Mexico State leading 39-28. Something that Jason Hooten wants his team to emphasize, toughness in defense. Saw that on display in the win last night over the Anteaters. Defense clamping down here against Georgia State. Panthers are down to 26% shooting. And they'll try inbounding it again. It'll be the freshman Micah Tucker. And Tucker, fadeaway jumper. And the offensive struggles continue for the Panthers in the second half. They have yet to score since halftime. Pickens on the take all the way to the cup. And the lead grows to 13.
Yeah, too easy. Too many easy baskets. One layup, one dunk. Cannot allow New Mexico State to get comfortable offensively. We said that was a key for them to get into a flow, and they are starting that flow now, and now the defense going the other way.
Jamel Jones a step through with the right hand, can't finish. Tip in, no. Couple of chances there for Mims. And the Panthers get it back. Malachi Brown drives, got cut off by Jones. And here's Tucker on his way to the rim. And receives a hard foul. 2 hard-earned free throws coming up for the freshman Micah Tucker.
Yeah, Tucker, just a physical player. Mentioned it yesterday, went to the line over 10 times. Just not afraid to, as a freshman means a little bit different than what it used to mean. He has played experienced basketball, came from overtime elite, playing against other players of high talent caliber. But the physicality this young man plays with, there's a stat sheet, stat that they keep track of, fouls drawn, FD, and this young man, Tucker, not afraid to draw fouls, whether they're at the rim to get to the free throw line like you just saw, or whether it's against the dribble. He's just a physical player for a guard.
Free throws good. Cuts the lead to 11, 41-30. The Aggies lead over Georgia State. here on the eve of Thanksgiving, the holiday less than 24 hours away. Here's Terrell, rises up. Malunga, offensive rebound. And this board cleared by Scott. Panthers trying to pull to within single digits. Scott left open for three. And clear the board is Jalen Randall.
Yeah, those threes that were going down in the first half, they were 50% at one point. I think 6 of 12, and have not been able to connect to start this second half.
Elijah Elliott, mid-range shot over Brown. And rebounded by Georgia State. Again, on the eve of Thanksgiving here, Brian, so your sides of choice outside of the turkey, what are you going with?
Well, great question. Are we talking here? The pico de gallo here, I must say, has been absolutely fire. So I'm going with some pico. I'm going with some Mexican rice as well. Speaking Cancun since I'm here. And then, I don't know. The chicken's been on fire. I might have to go chicken instead of turkey. I don't think I've seen anything turkey if you had to break it down.
All right, so now we're talking traditional Thanksgiving food here. So for me, mashed potatoes is number one.
Okay.
The dressing, the stuffing, number two, and sweet potatoes, number three.
Okay.
I know a lot of people love mac and cheese.
So you're doubling up on potatoes, mashed potatoes, and sweet potatoes.
Oh, all about the starch, my man.
Okay, let's go.
I want to hit that nap. Okay, and starch will do that along with the turkey.
The nap is inevitable.
A lot of people have mac and cheese at Thanksgiving, but it's never been a staple in my family.
Mac and cheese, not a bad decision, depending on if it's homemade. You can't just go regular old Kraft or something in a box. It's just not going to be able to get it done for Thanksgiving.
Now, I will say there's been some controversy, at least with some people in my orbit. I'm going to ask you this question. Rolls, are they a side dish, yes or no?
Orbit. I mean, again, is it homemade, or are we just talking about like they come in the bag from the store? Homemade, yes. Regular, it depends. Hawaiian rolls, they can be the exception.
All right, Hawaiian rolls it is. Last question for you, food-wise, pumpkin pie or pecan?
There's no question. Pecan is not an option. We're only going pumpkin.
Only going pumpkin. Shot clock under 10, three-pointer. Doesn't go. Offensive rebound. Stick back is good. It's Mullen. And it's a 13-point lead again for New Mexico State.
Keys to the game. Limit second chance points from New Mexico State. Here you see this is what they do. Second chance points. Easy. That was almost easy.
Chappelle hard to the rim. But the ball goes off the top of the backboard, out of bounds, and back to the Aggies. The Panthers yet to make a field goal in the second half.
Yeah, terrific athlete showing off his bounce. Didn't get fouled there. Did go up in traffic. Loved the attempt. Probably even could have went with two. Not a shot blocker in sight. Good aggressive attack there by Chappelle.
It was a 9-point lead for the Aggies at the half, on top by 13 here. Largest lead of the afternoon. Looking to go 3-0. The Cancun Challenge. Terrell on the take. Battle for the loose ball. Still a scrum for it, and finally the tie-up will be called. It was Jacoby Osborne on the floor for the Aggies. Got tied up with Chappelle. And the basketball stays with New Mexico State.
Possession, New Mexico State.
14 minutes and change to go with the half. 13-point lead for the Aggies here from Puerto Aventura, Mexico. Side of the Cancun Challenge, hosted by Triple Crown Sports. Great event. Had a chance to visit with the managing director of the Riviera Maya Hotel here at Hard Rock, John Kerwin. And all the teams here have been very thankful on the topic of Thanksgiving to have been invited to this year's tournament. There's a big, tough bucket inside from Kyrie Smollett and a chance for a three-point play.
Literally just moving humans out of the way to clear space, whether it's a rebound, a box out, a post up. Move get out the way.
Can't complete the three-point play. And here come the Panthers trailing by 15, 45-30. That's going the other way. A Panthers turnover for Georgia State. The first 6 minutes of the second half, struggling offensively.
Great hands here. Gets the deflection over to his teammate. Again, this is what New Mexico State has done, wants to continue to do. Coach wants to be known for the grit and the toughness of his program, and it's exactly what they continue to display here in Cancun.
Randall behind the back pass. Osborne spins with the right hand, goes high off the glass, and banks it in.
Little dun-dun-dun. We see you over here, Osborne, getting ready for a little Thanksgiving Day. Some prayers answered on that one, but a beautiful play.
A 17-point lead for the Yankees, pulling away here against Georgia State. Tucker feeds it into the corner. Chappelle lines up a three, and the offensive woes continue for the Panthers in the second half. Elliott step through dish to Randall. Going to drive and attack and can't score, and beam the board for Georgia State. And now Brown with the right hand off the glass, and that's the first field goal of the second half for Georgia State.
With the field goal.
Makes it a 15-point game, 7 minutes gone by. First every year for the Cancun Challenge, 17 years ago, 2008. A tournament won by Vanderbilt out of the SEC. Offensive rebound, Osborne feeds it into Randall. And now Mullen the mid-range. Another offensive board, and Osborne collects and finishes.
Osborne playing with the passion and the intensity on the glass after getting the spin to go. Lets out a little yell.
17-point lead. Nice pass inside, and Beam his second dunk of the day.
Christian Beam with the flush.
Last year's champion here at the Riviera Maya, Loyola Marymount. From the West Coast. Step back three, Elliott got it. Elijah Elliott with a triple. 18-point Aggies lead.
Yeah, New Mexico State rolling on all cylinders. This is the offensive flow. We talked about keys to the game for them. They are currently in it in this half. Making threes, getting to the basket. Alley-oop lobs, offensive rebounds. The pass for the one more says, let's get one more three to go.
55-34, New Mexico State on top, and the Aggies are getting contributions from up and down the roster. Jacoby Osborne, the sophomore out of Missouri City, Texas, some big buckets in the second half for the Aggies.
Yeah, he's a guy that plays with a lot of passion. Again, a lot of high energy, high motor. Not afraid, again, of the moment. Just to let his presence to be felt, and he's a two-way player and a guy that Coach Hooten absolutely loves and has enjoyed coaching because of what he brings as far as a competitive edge.
Osborne played well in the win over the Anteaters last night. 10 points, 8 boards in the victory over UC Irvine. Brent Freeman and Brian Burton, glad to have you with us here on Flow College from Puerto Aventuras, Mexico. It is day 2 of the Cancun Challenge, first game of a triple header. Coming up next, it's Sanford and Utah Valley Bulldogs with a win last night over Georgia State, and Utah Valley also winners against South Dakota. Arkansas State, South Alabama, and Troy split the regular season title 4 ways.
Yeah, JMU was here just 2 years ago, won the Cancun Challenge in that special year they had of mid-major hoops.
Out of the timeout, missed 3 from Tucker. The Panthers finished 8th in the Sun Belt last year, picked to finish 11th in the 14-team conference this year. It'll change this time next year. Texas State leaving, and the program replacing the Bobcats, Louisiana Tech. The Bulldogs coming into the Sun Belt with the Bobcats leaving for the Pac-12. Tucker the drive over the left hand, scores. and draws the Panthers to within 19.
It feels like every year, definitely every couple years, you need like a guide to be able to follow who went where as far as conferences. Obviously, you need it for players, but that's a whole nother story. Players, coaches, but then conferences, the teams were Pac-12, were Sun Belt, were Conference USA. I mean, even in this game, New Mexico State has been in a few different leagues and now headed to another new league next year because the WAC will be no more.
Whistle here.
Or excuse me, that was Utah Valley. They're in Conference USA, but they used to be in the WAC.
And a chance here for a three-point play for Isaiah Sherrard for Georgia State. I don't know about you, Brian, but I still do a double take when I look at the Big Ten standings and see Washington or UCLA, Oregon.
Yeah.
The likes of those schools.
Not to mention Cal and Stanford in the ACC.
And again, conference realignment has nothing to do with regions. Think about this. Washington in the Big Ten, the Huskies are closer to here, Puerto Aventura, than they are Piscataway, New Jersey. Rutgers, of course, playing at Piscataway, is a conference rival now for Washington. It'd be closer for them to come here than it would be to play the Knights.
Yeah, it's definitely not about close proximity anymore. The business of college athletics. A lot of the different TV markets and time zones and locations. So many things factor in.
Tucker, second chance, takes advantage. Georgia State trying to chip away what it was, a 21-point lead, down to 16. 57-41, 9:30 to go in the second half. And Jamel Jones, a turnaround on the baseline goes. And for Jones, he's up to 8 points on the afternoon.
Yeah, it's a big day when New Mexico State doesn't need Jones's scoring in order to be up the way that they are. Again, it says a lot about the growth of how they continue to get better as they move forward. A lot of guys that can contribute defensively, but now having more offensive contributions. Osborne just showing off his bunnies a little bit. That's on me. That's on me. I just had to show the world I can do a little something up here. Show my people out here in Cancun and those watching at home, I can go get it.
And that call, offensive goaltending against Osborne. Shot doesn't count. Remains an 18-point lead for the Aggies. Won't be back home in Las Cruces until December the 21st. About a month from now. And the team they're playing, Jason Hooten's former program, Sam Houston. The Aggies will open Conference USA play against FIU January 2nd. Scott looking to post up beam, knocked away by Malunga. Here's Sherrard over Jones. And the rebound cleared by Mims. (59-41) New Mexico State, the lead. Three-pointer goes. Rizesh from the outside and back to a 21-point lead for the Aggies. All New Mexico State here in the second half, led by 9 of the break. Now 62-41 and a turnover, taken away by Julius Mims. Rizesh can't connect to the second straight three.
Coach Hooten kind of looking around after that one like, is that the same guy that just made the switch a second ago? What happened there?
Loose ball knocked away, taken away by Mims. The Aggies have numbers. Jones will attack. Pulls up for the mid-range and knocks it down. And the first Aggie to hit double figures this afternoon. And that'll lead to another timeout from Jonas Hayes. All Aggies here in Cancun, a 23-point lead. 64-41, Aggies over the Panthers on Flow.
You get some high-level programs, some teams that can make Elite 8, Final Four run. And at one point, NC State was 9 in the country, I think, to start the year. TCU's a top 10 program. the last couple years.
There's Tucker, a three for the Panthers, doesn't go. Georgia State still under 30% shooting for the game. Looks pretty solid offensively to start things off, but they've cooled off considerably. And you pointed this out earlier, Brian. You have to credit the defensive play from the Aggies.
Yeah, I think for Georgia State, they're just looking for more consistency on the offensive end and still searching for their identity of how they're going to score points consistently. You have your young Tucker, your freshman, has 21 yesterday, but hasn't had the same kind of output. They're just looking for, again, they made a bunch of threes in the first half. Wasn't a big part of their formula in the first game. They made 7. They made 6 in the first half today. So just, again, searching for that offensive identity consistently. How are they going to score points and who is it going to come from?
Approaching 7 minutes to go in this one. All Aggies, they've outscored the Panthers by 14 points in the second half. Here's Malachi Brown, the shot clock down to 10. It's it back from Scott, step back 3. And rebounded by Mims.
Well, the thing about when you play a team like New Mexico State, they're not a team that you can just have some good moments against. You have to beat them because they have depth. And this is the best team coach has had since he's been there. He may not say exactly those words yet because there's some time left in it, but loves his roster, the different pieces that he has. You see the foul on the jumper. But, yeah, they're a team that because they play so tough on the defensive side of the ball and on the glass, you have to earn a victory. And he said last year's team had to win games with their defense. This year's team is the same defensive identity because that's who coach is, but they have a lot more offensive firepower that he is excited to continue to develop. And this young man is one of the big reasons why. A 20-point-a-game type of score. Last year scored 20 points a game at Bakersfield. He's right at about 18 coming into this event this year, And, yeah, there's just a lot of different players that can step up on the offensive side of the ball and give you good contribution.
Offensive rebound, put back doesn't go. And then finally cleared by James Cooper of Georgia State. A 25-point game as the ball here is knocked out of bounds. Staying with the Panthers with 6:33 to go. Playing a New Mexico State program that has been to the NCAA tournament 24 times in team history. Most recent appearance came in 2022 after winning the WAC Tournament Championship in Las Vegas. In fact, since 2010, the Aggies have been kind of tournament regulars. They've been to the field of 64 9 times. One of the dominant programs ever to play in the WAC. But again now in Conference USA, 6 minutes to go. Elliott. And Mims had his jersey pulled by Scott. And there'll be a foul here against Georgia State.
And again, over the course of the game, the rebounding does wear on you, the physicality. You see grabbing a jersey. You just kind of get frustrated at the way getting so many guys on this front line, whether it's athleticism, again, or physical strength. You know you have to deal with these Aggies on the glass.
Oh, and Mims with another finish there for New Mexico State. Has been rocking the rim a few times today, and a 27-point lead now for the Aggies. Contested shot. Unable to get that to go is Bertha, but foul to the act. That'll lead a couple of free throws here. And here again, another alley-oop from Mims.
Yeah, Mims makes it look easy and pinpoint pass. Not that you can really mess up that pass because his athleticism can cure a lot of bad pass possibility.
Free throw doesn't go for Bertha. The Panthers will fall to 1-7 with this loss. After the trip here to Puerto Aventura, have road games looming at Mercer and Kennesaw State before playing at home again December 13th against Jacksonville State, and then the Sun Belt opener for the Panthers against rival Georgia Southern on December 18th in Statesboro. Pass deflected right to Mims. Can't finish. And he's out of bounds. The basketball will go back to Georgia State.
Panthers ball.
I think you should consider maybe doing a hairstyle similar to Mims. He's got a good.
You think so?
He's got a good hair thing going right now.
I do like it.
I don't know if it'll make you jump as high as him. I would doubt that part, but
Loose ball, Elliott. Easy lay-in. At a 28-point lead now for the Aggies.
With the lay-in.
New Mexico State in the second half. Not shooting at a high percentage, 38%, but a suffocating defense ever since the halftime break. And in this case, defense turning to offense for Elijah Elliott.
Into the Panther lineup, 6, Joey Chappelle, 32, Christian Bean.
Now free throws coming up here for Malachi Brown.
22, Brown.
And has earned one more. So with the win today, the Aggies will become the 8th 7-0 team in the country. The other 7 currently, Duke, George Mason, Gonzaga, Missouri, Nebraska, SMU, and Tennessee with a big win last night for the Volunteers over Houston. Under 5 minutes to go in a 26-point game. Here's Pickens for New Mexico State.
well, one thing Coach Hooten has not had the pleasure of doing just yet as a head coach is leading a team to the NCAA tournament, and that will definitely be something that is always on every coach's list, but this team, that will be a mission of not only winning the WAC in the regular season, but Coach Hooten will want to cut down the nets when it comes to that conference tournament time. And they have a lot of the pieces and a lot of the ingredients that you need. Obviously, that what goes into that is playing your great basketball multiple days in a row like you have to do here. And the matchups, playing your best basketball at the right time. But the part that they have, the boxes that they check, they have guard play. They can defend all positions. They can really rebound it. They have an elite scorer that can help you take over in a game like in matchups like that. And, again, an experienced coach and a together group. So those are some of the ingredients.
In the nation, and among them, top-ranked Purdue. Shot clock to 10 here for Elijah Elliott. Marco Doyle into the game for the first time for the Aggies. His first appearance here in Cancun. Whistle here against Georgia State.
Fouls called on 6, Joey Chappelle. That's his third. 16.
Mentioned Jason Hooten is yet to take his team to the NCAA tournament. One of the few things remaining on his to-do list. He has taken his programs to the CIT 4 times, the NIT twice, both times at Sam Houston. In fact, the Bearcats, a second-round NIT team back in 2023. The Aggies have missed out on the postseason in his first 2 years there. This foul called against Osborne. Basketball going back to the Panthers.
We're in the voters. Stepping in the line is shoot the 1-1, number 6.
And the 1-1 coming up here for Joey Chappelle.
Yeah, Chappelle's an upside player in this roster that when you think about Georgia State and maybe where can they get more offense from, finding more consistent shooting, has the athleticism to defend and rebound. It's going to be on the floor quite a bit. Offensive production, 10 points in the first half, very quiet second half. So another one of those young men that can continue to develop to give them another punch. And look at the reserve that hasn't played all week yet. Gets a 3 to go.
Marco Doyle, sophomore out of Australia, one of the international players for the Aggies at a 26-point lead. So with the Panthers, this will drop their record to 1-7 for head coach Jonas Hayes. And again, there's been a great history of coaching for this Panthers program. The previous two coaches, Rob Lanier, who's now the head coach at Rice. Before him, Ron Hunter, both taking their teams to the tournaments. Lefty Drizel also used to coach at Georgia State. And there'll be a lot of work for the Panthers to do moving forward as they're able to drop 7 of their first 8 games. Chris Terrell scores to make it 75-49 New Mexico State. And Coach Jason Hooden will call for a timeout.
Just a substitution timeout. Wanted to get a couple other guys in the game that haven't been in the game just yet. 2 minutes of game time is pretty significant in this current era. Sometimes the net can reward the margin of victory, so oftentimes you don't get to make some of those subs that maybe you'd want to.
Foul here against New Mexico State. We'll send Malachi Brown to the free throw line.
And New Mexico State now will be 3-0 from this particular challenge, and their campus game against Samford, they won before coming here, and obviously won against UC Irvine last night in a tough, hard-fought battle, and they cruise in the second half in this one for a big victory. And this New Mexico State team definitely has a lot of upside and excitement going into WAC play, and have a handful of good tests. You did mention that December 21st Sam Houston game at home. Now, he has coached against Sam Houston because they used to be, well, they are in the same conference. So they have the same conference when they were in the WAC. Now they're in the same conference with Conference USA. His assistant coach, Chris Mudge, is the head coach, former assistant coach. That's also a sign of success when you can move on and your right hand gets the job.
A hard foul call there against Doyle. Knocked down Micah Tucker. It'll go back to Georgia State.
Yeah, tough foul. We've seen a lot of illegal screen calls, and that's one of those where it's right in front of the Georgia State bench. I'm surprised, and it happened fast. I'm surprised there wasn't more yelling and screaming that that screen was coming. Tucker was completely blindsided.
Reference the history of NCAA tournaments for the Aggies. The Panthers have been 6 times themselves, last going in 2022. And we're about 10 years removed now from that historic tournament appearance for the Panthers. Back in 2015, with then head coach Ron Hunter, his son R.J. Hunter was the Sun Belt's Player of the Year, and R.J. hitting some big shots that an upset win over Baylor in a 3-14 matchup of the tournament back in 2015. And for the Aggies, talked about the win last night, giving them their first 5-0 start since 1991. Well, the 6-0 start will be the best in team history since the 1969-70 season, where the Aggies finished 27-3 that year, going to the Final Four. The head coach of the Aggies in, Lou Henson. And Tucker on the finish. It's 75-54.
Tucker's showing off a little bit of bunnies. I mean, tell you what, they don't quit. Just finding the spurts and keeping them consistent. That's the takeaway for me for Georgia State. Not having these lapses where you almost look like a completely different team, where you're just struggling on both sides of the ball. You have spurts where you do it on the offensive side of the ball, spurts on the defensive side of the ball. Here's some of that defense right here. But just making those consistent 40 minutes of play is the next step. And then developing some of their bench. They haven't had a lot of bench production, so they rely so much on their starting five, and then getting some of the guys in the starting five to elevate their play as well. We got the upcoming Butterball Player of the Game. Again, back-to-back games, Mr. Jamel Jones himself, the leading scorer for the Aggies.
12 points, 6 boards for Jamel Jones, also 3 steals for the Aggies. Under a minute to go. As Tucker rises for a 3. Tucker another double-figure game of his own. A team high 15 points of the Panthers yesterday against Sanford with 21. A missed 3 by Malachi Brown. And here's a drive now for Randall. Ball stripped, taken away. Tucker, alley-oop, toss it to Chappelle, lays it in. And for the Panthers, a tough trip to Cancun. 2 lopsided losses here this week against Sanford and New Mexico State, and the campus loss to San Diego State. The Panthers finish 0-3 in the Cancun Challenge.
Yeah, they'll have some challenges going forward, but they have enough